it's Jamie back from Inky&Scrappy with my Let's Start Stamping series. Of course, we're going Halloween today. We're gonna go, we're going cutesy Halloween today. I've been playing and looking at options for my Let's Get Creepy on Halloween series, and so I won't be cutesy. I don't think I'm gonna be cutesy on that one this month. I got ideas, man. I got ideas. If I will find time to do said ideas, well, that's another thing. Anyways, I picked out my stamp set first, and then I grabbed the paper pad today, if you want to know my process. I just kind of looked at my Halloween stamps that I haven't used for a while. I actually had a couple of them, or ones that I haven't used at all, obviously. This one I picked up on clearance last year off of Whimsy. It was like $2, $3 for the stamp set. I'm sure I think it might still be on there. I don't know. I will link it down below. If it is, it's probably back to regular price because it's Halloween season. But like this one is like the little cupcake that could go year round. I'm really liking this one today, but the candy corn is really cute too. So, I mean, all the candy, all the things, I just think it will go really well with my sweet and spooky paper pad. I've been in a pink, like pastel Halloween vibe lately, which is really not my style. If you've watched, that's totally not a me thing. Granted, last week I ended up going with pastels. Like I said, it's not a me thing. If I remember, I will try to include some stills or maybe even a little video of my current decor. In my house, I went red and black this year, which is not a me either for Halloween, but that's where I went. Kind of red and black, and then I did some purples and, you know, just lots of spooky vibe stuff. I won't show you all. I will show you a couple of my favorite pieces. I did a potions and elixir shop setup in my actual studio corner this year. Last year I did, I don't know, something similar. If you saw, you saw. So I'm thinking we can use quite a few of these are going to go really well, and I think that's why I kind of gravitated towards this paper pad, because this little dude and that little dude are both adorable, and I think it would work well together. But this one has, I was looking at more like the little candy pieces in here. I really liked this one, so I'm thinking maybe we'll go with that for a background piece of paper and kind of go from there. I haven't decided on layout yet, so you know, this is me. We'll figure it out in the end. We usually always, have we ever not come up with a card? Except for the ones that I've done multi videos for. I think we've always come up with a card at the end. So I'm sure today will be no different. I've also kind of picked out my colors. I kind of took them from, of course, the paper pad, just kind of matching them up color-wise. And I'm not going to show you my step-by-step process. It's one we've talked about before or done before. I do my color swatches, so for all my markers that so we use the 60 color set and the 36 skin tone set from the Ohuhu Oahu line, and that's kind of where I tried to pull my colors from, so I did that today. I did pull in, actually there's a lot more skin tone colors in the skin tone set today than I normally use. It just there's a lot of pinks and yellows and orange tones in there that worked really well for what I was going with. So my orange for that one kind of came from this one, I do believe. I just kind of match it onto the paper, so you can see if its tone is going to be within reason. So I did 492. Now that the light is on, I could maybe go to the 596, the YR 596 instead, but I'm happy with the ones I picked out. So we'll go over colors. I don't know if I'll use them all. I did pick them all out. My grays, I'm going to use those warm grays, which are in, I think, the 60 set. So the 120 for the deep black, of course, and then the warm gray 200 and the warm gray 170. For my purples, I have two out because I haven't decided which one I want to use. I liked the pale blue violet, which is a B281, but The Violet 189 would work as well for this paper pad. And then I picked out the green is like the tealy color. It's going to be a little bit darker, but we can mute that out with, of course, the Colorless Blender. So I went with the G473. For my orange tone, I went YR492, which you saw there. For my skin tone, because if I use anything that's got skin and I want a fleshy tone, I went with R196. But you can pick, this one could be any skin tone. So if you wanted to go brown, go with a darker brown. Go with a darker brown. Caramel is one of my favorite darker ones to go with. I don't know if caramel is in that set or not, but there's a few that I have, and they're all, most of them are listed on my blog at Inkyyandscrappy.com. Up on the sidebar, Ohuhu color blends, and they will be in there. So if you're looking for color combos and you have the whole set, that would be a great place to go. I'm also bringing in the Rose Pink RV390 and the Primary Yellow Y396. So those are the ones I'm, have pulled out for today. Will I use them all? I don't know, but I have my options available. I'm going to try to do some simpler coloring. I tend to go multiples, and I think it's good to learn. When you're just starting out or when you're new to alcohol markers, I really think it's great to learn one color and learn how to blend with just one color, and it'll help when you're trying to do multiple colors. Does that make sense? Like trying to get two markers to blend together well. A lot of it has to do with paper, a lot of it has to do with technique, and a lot of it just takes time to learn and go from there. So let's do our stamping. So I am, of course, bringing in the Express It blending cardstock. I know when we started this series, I was going to try to stick with Bristol Smooth. I just love my Express It a lot better. You get a lot easier blend. It doesn't take as long, and especially on a real-time tutorial, I like to keep it, in an hour is usually my goal. We could just do candy on this one and it'd be adorable. I'm just saying. Not that I will. I'm just saying it would be adorable. So let's see. If I do it up here so I can just move my stamp down. Which one do I want to do? I think, gosh, he's just stinking adorable. I love the other one too. This is what happens when I start stamping and then I can't decide which image I want to use. A lot of times I will stamp out 2 or 3 images and then color them all, and then I end up with a whole bunch of extra colored images on my desk that I need to do something with. Yeah. Anyone else have that problem? No, just me? I know it's not a just me issue, but it has been a me issue for a very long time. I have a lot of pre-stamped things out. I think he's adorable. I have a birthday card I need to get done too, so if I stamp him out and I don't end up using him, he kind of reminds me of my little nephew. So I can always, well, he might not appreciate Halloween like his auntie appreciates Halloween, but that's okay. He'll learn to live with it. His birthday's the end of September, not even October, but I will force Halloween on him like the little candy goblin that he is. He wouldn't care. He loves candy. Of course, it would probably go for better if I mailed candy to him at the same time, right? Probably. So I'm just inking up with my Fawn Jet Black ink. We are going to end up heat setting it today. I will probably end up recording this one in 2 bits. So if I don't heat set it on camera, just know that it got heat set off camera and I came back to do the rest of the video. Why, you ask? Because it's fieldwork season, baby. And somebody didn't get started until close to lunch. Now I have to go make lunch and deliver it in the field. It's my favorite. Well, I don't know about my favorite, but I don't mind it. We're just not stamping well today, are we? I don't know if it's... Well, okay, these are new stamps, and I did not condition them because why would I do that? I tell you to condition them, I won't actually condition them. If you're struggling like I am currently, definitely think about conditioning them. You'll get a much better and smoother first impression. There's just like a film or an oil on them yet, and so should we probably condition them? Probably. Once you've stamped with them, usually they're okay. I'm not worried about the little boy and the count, but I will do it with the candy pieces just because I'm going to stamp those multiple times, and if I have to ink them 3 times to get a good impression, it's annoying to me. Just saying. I'll go here with it without moving anything. So, you know, I've already cleaned them once. I've wiped them with my cloth, but you're supposed to just take a red rubber eraser and you can kind of do that. I like to wipe them down with a towel afterwards just in case you get any, I don't know, eraser goobers on them, or, you know, depending upon your eraser, because I use my eraser for other things. And we got a lot better impression this time than we did the first time. So, they're a little bit more conditioned, and you can definitely tell between this one, which I stamped 3 times, mind you, and this one, which was stamped twice. So, I hope you learn from my inability to do all of the steps for new stamps. I'm not sad about it, it's just how it works. Alrighty, well, why aren't you? My pressure must be off today. You know, and sometimes, because I'm stamping multiple images all at the same time, of course that, you know, there was a variation in depth on the stamping process. There could definitely be. One might be a little bit, but they're from the same set, so usually you don't have a problem. But I don't know all the ins and outs, and sometimes it happens. So, pop those back on here. I think the little pumpkin sucker or sucker pumpkin is cute. Did anyone else make ghost pumpkin or ghost suckers out of like Tootsie Pops when they were in school, or when their kids were in school? I used to do it with the boys. Like, we would make, you take the Kleenex and then you wrap it around the top, and they're like little ghosts, and then we would do like a sucker pull thing with them. It was, you know, in school. It was always fun. Anyways, back in the day. I am going to check my time. I will be back. Okay, so these have sat and dried for about an hour. I did touch them with a little itty bitty bit of heat, but not a whole lot of heat. I mean, I might have to, but an hour should be more than enough, right? That's my thought, at least. We'll check it out. I haven't decided which one we're going to do yet for today. So I think we're going to use that one because, gosh, they're both so darn adorable. Anyways, such is life, right? Let's start. Blacks are always an interesting blend, and since I have multiples of the black, I'll do the black one, and then maybe we'll do the other one, and I'll color the candy off screen. And, you know, I haven't really decided. I haven't colored bat wings for a while. Again, I usually start with my darkest shade. Feel free to color the whole thing with your lightest shade, and then work from darkest to lightest again. If you have a hard time getting a blend, so let's say if you're using Bristol Smooth, or maybe you're just using a different substrate medium that's not blending as well, that would be my suggestion to you, to kind of get a little bit more saturation down. So the original, can I say back when I first started coloring with alcohol markers, so probably about 17-ish years ago, when my kids were really little yet. So back then, you know, everything that I'd read and learned, so it was basically me, you know, it wasn't as, YouTube wasn't a thing, per se, and so, or at least we didn't have, you know, Wi-Fi to actually watch anything on the internet. So I've read a lot, right? And so that's how I taught myself. I taught myself by reading, by watching, you know, by like, not watching, but reading, looking at how other people colored things in new, you know, publications and those types of things. And that's kind of how I taught myself from there. I did go to like a couple of crop type things that they kind of hit on them, but alcohol markers in this industry, or at least the card making, scrapbooking industry, really didn't hit until, you know, I'd been in it for a while. I want to say 2008 maybe is kind of when I think it went a little bit heavier into the alcohol markers with, you know, coloring and those types of things. I don't know. That's where I think I remember. I don't remember exactly dates and times, but I'm thinking it was around then, because I think my youngest one was probably about that, you know, 3 or so age range, somewhere in there. And so that's probably when I started, and I started with, you know, with Copics, because that was, I think, the only brand at the time. And then because I was with Close to My Heart, they did bring in the Twin Touch markers, which are just an alcohol marker. It's just a different brand. And so I kind of played with those a little bit as well. I probably could have done this cover bun in a cute little color, huh? I'll do, do I want to do his bow black, or do I want to do his bow pink? I'm going to do his bow pink. I think that'd be cute. So ultimately, you know, and I've picked up multiple different ones from there. So the store brand ones, I think some of those are better than others, but I really can't say that one brand to me is better than another one. I think they're all about the same, to be honest. I don't really see much of a difference. So his hair's supposed to be green, but I think it'd be fun to do a purple. We'll go purple. So I'm just kind of, I usually start where I think my shadows are going to be maybe a little bit darker, and work my way to my lightest area. Kind of like I did with the wings, I want it to be highlighted in the middle. So that's how I did it with the 3 markers. With 1 marker, I usually start, let it go, and then let it dry, and then come back in with a second layer, either going over areas, the full area, so not just a new area, the full area one more time. A lot of times I will go with little images. I'll go back and forth, doing circular motion. If you're struggling to get your blend to smooth out, work on a circular motion and kind of saturate it, and I think you'll have, just to get a smoother mark, you won't get like a marker line. Does that make sense? So going over it while it's still wet a lot of times will also help to alleviate the blotchiness of it. And so there we get his hair. There's not as much definition. You could definitely pull in colored pencil at this point to kind of add in a little bit of gray shading, or picking a purple that may be a little bit darker there and kind of adding some strand detail work. Do I want to make his shirt a different color? I think I'll do his shoes purple, just because I can. You can do his shirt in green. I mean, it should probably be light gray, but I guess we could go with a light gray. But we'll go in with the tealy color. And I'm going to do some tip to tip because I want this one to be a little bit lighter. So just taking that tip and hitting the tip of that one. I'm going really quick because my image that I need is really small. So it's not going to be an overly large area, so I don't need a lot of ink saturation into that tip. Because my blend won't last that long. Does that make sense? Like sometimes it takes forever to get the color out of your marker, depending upon how much time you gave it to blend. Let's grab this one. So for my skin tone, I'm just gonna do, and for some reason the skin tone markers, just because they have more of that colorless blender in them, or there are a higher concentration of that alcohol blend as opposed to like the pigment that would be in there. I think that's what makes them tend to bleed just a little bit more than your other colors. At least on this one. I'm trying to not go over those black areas quite so much to minimize the streakiness here. Note to self, give yourself a, you know, longer than an hour or heat set it better, I guess. I really don't need much for a mouth, huh? We'll do pink little tongue. I'm going to come in with that darker gray for the area that's kind of back there. And then his feet, of course, are white. And I'll probably hit his eyeballs with that glossy black to make them pop a little bit. If you have like some little googly eyes, would be really cute on this one. You could definitely come in and do some shading, but it is Drac, so he shouldn't really have rosy cheeks, I guess. So I'm going to leave him at that. For my candy, I'm just going to kind of, I'll do one set for you on camera. I'll probably color some more and finish up both of my cards before I'm done, just because I've been into making multiples lately. Don't know why, just am. So I'm gonna start with my first layer of color on rounded items. I really do like to do the top and the bottom darker. Sometimes you get into like this area here is probably going to want to be a little bit darker because you want the lines, because when you look at a pumpkin, so if you're looking at a pumpkin and you see the lines, you know, like the dents in, they would be darker, right? And the stuff that the light is going to hit more is going to be lighter. So I kind of implore that same thought or skill when it comes to actually coloring colored images. Granted, they're not going to be realistic like in general, right? They're just, but it kind of gives them a little bit more of a rounded shape. Coming in from the sides, working your way, just, there's, you know, get yourself some circle images and work with them and kind of go that route. I'm not an expert. I just kind of do what I want. Watch some other people that you really enjoy or like their coloring and see how they color things. That's kind of how I've learned over the years, is just kind of watching how other people color things, and then I just kind of, you know, take it from there, I guess. Take bits and pieces from how they do things to increase how I do things, I guess. This one's kind of, oh, was he supposed to stay white on top and not be pink? Probably, huh? Well, I guess I can come back in with my colorless blender and bleed that out. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll work. So I colored in the area here that maybe it's supposed to be a mummy face, you know, after I started coloring, and I realized it's probably supposed to be a mummy face, right? So I'm just going to come back in with the colorless blender, and I'm just dabbing those areas that I got pink. It'll push it through my paper. So if you see here, it's going to push into the paper a little bit more. Kind of like here, you can see how much has gone through the paper. That's just your ink absorbing into the paper, and that's really where it's going to do a lot of its blending at. So if you're coloring on a surface that's not something you want to stain, if you're coloring with alcohol markers, I would definitely suggest putting either a scrap piece of paper underneath them or a mat of some sort so you don't have that kind of an issue. I took the wrong end of my cap. Okay. Oh, well, let's do this one and this one. So I'll do this one as, I suppose this one would probably be more. Well, no, it looks like a little bat, like a little vampire bat, huh? Okay. I'm gonna just do some candy stripes on this one. That one will be the opposite color. And then I'm just gonna come back through and do that whole area again to give me the shade variation there. And then we'll come in with that green tone. And do the same thing. And we'll do moving things at the end. I will hit this one with a glossy black pen. Always making sure that I make sure that it's moving well before I actually put pen to my image. Just kind of helps make sure that I'm not going to get too streaky of an image. I didn't do the greatest there. A lot of times tapping it is better than actually swirling it, just if you want that nice smooth overlay, but also you can color it with the black and then go over it with clear glossy accents, and that will give you that kind of look as well. Let's see. It's probably less troublesome than when I do it and it doesn't work out. So making sure my white is going to work okay. And then I'm just going to add this to the teeth. I don't think the teeth really need it on this one. I was well enough with my markering that I didn't color inside the lines there. I'm just going to add some little, and you could have I could have definitely done the little black gloss on there too. I'm just going to add some highlights here, maybe go with the little white bolt below that line, just for a little bit of added detail. Not a whole lot though. But so there's the images that we're going to concentrate on for this card, and then I'll color the rest and cut them out. And we'll be back with the rest of the card. Okay, so I pulled out a few different pieces of paper to kind of play with and make my card with. I kind of have a design figured out. I may have already done my other cards, so you'll see those in a little bit, but we'll build this one from scratch. So I'm going to cut this one down to 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I'm doing this so I have that black border on the outside. I like doing that on the outside, especially if you're, I mean, these are 6 by 6, but especially if you're using a 12 by 12 sheet, because you can get 6 card fronts out of one sheet. Where this one, you get 1 card front, and then you get a nice 2-inch chunk to kind of play with later on. And so I'm just going to add this one onto my base. We'll just kind of build it as we cut and go from there. So this one is that 4 by 5 1/4. Now this to me is a busier pattern paper. Of course, if you're going with a 12 by 12 sheet, it's probably blown up a little bit. A lot of the 6 by 6 is sized down, so it's smaller, which is kind of nice for certain things. But for some things, the 12 by 12 is really nice. Sometimes if I really like a paper pad, I will buy them both, the 6 by 6 and 12 by 12, or just individual sheets in the 12 by 12 of the ones that I like, because it gives you more options. So for this one, I have this one is one of those 2-inch strips that's left. Let's see, we have this guy. And so I think we can go him this way. Maybe I should have cut it the other way. Well, we'll just do my layout on this one a little bit different than I did on the other ones. That's what happens. Let's see, can I pull in this piece? This piece should be big enough to go that way. So I'm going to cut down this one first so I can kind of see where I'm at on this one. I at least want it to here. I can always go a little bit bigger. I'm thinking though, if we go, what's this one at? This one is a 3.5 inch wide. So let's cut it at 3 inches. Oh wait, is this one a 2 inch? That's a 2 inch. So let's cut it at 2.5. So we'll go 2.5 tall by, it's currently at 3.5. I think we can probably cut that down to 3 inch. I just want to make sure it's going to be 3 inch will be 2.5 by 2. That should work. Okay, so we'll cut this one at 3 inches. So I'll have a 3 inch by 2.5 inch piece for my little, for that one there. And I'm going to cut this one. So this one is already cut at 2 inches this way. So I'm going to say I'm sorry if you can't see it. I didn't move my sheet down again. And then what was this one? Was 3 inches. So we'll cut this one at 2.5. So it has a nice 1/4 inch border all the way around it. We should be able to go like this. So I'm going to glue this piece on top of this piece first, and then we'll kind of go from there. I like using liquid glue. It gives me that wiggle room so I can kind of wiggle it into place, making sure that it's pretty much, you know, all the way done all the way around, or equal distance all the way around. Using a double-sided adhesive or the tape runner doesn't always allow that. If you put a little bit of liquid glue on top of your tape runner, it will give you a little bit more wiggle room on that one. So now we can kind of decide if we want it here, if we want to go over here with it, and put, I mean, 'cause my candy is gonna go as kind of like accent pieces. So I think I'm going to kind of center it on the top half. So instead of doing, so making it about equidistance all the way around. So I'm gonna just add glue to that. And if you want to pop up any one of these layers, I would probably only pop up one layer on this one, like either all of your colored images or this panel piece would be kind of cute popped up. I don't know if I would add multiple layers of pop up, just because, you know, you could get pretty thick with a multi-layered card. We'll do him. I was trying to decide if I wanted to do text on him, but I think we're just gonna go this way. We're gonna pop him into the center here. And then we have our 3 pieces of candy. You're gonna see some different colored ones because when I did my other ones, I liked some of the other options for my coloring. And so, like, just they paired well with different things. So I added in, you know, a couple of different colors in all of my things. Now these don't stick out as much on top of this piece of paper, so there's a couple of ways you can alleviate that or fix that. You could definitely do little pieces behind them if you wanted to. In this case, you know, you could do a long strip here and then 2 little squares off to the side to kind of pop these ones up. I am going to I think if we pop these up, that will bring them off of that really bold pattern there, and it'll give us just a little bit of separation from it. I'm going to go with the thicker one. I think this one is probably a 2mm. I think maybe it's a 3. I think it's a 2. So we're going to start with my candy stick. These are those 1/8 inch thick foam strips. I like them because I don't have to cut skinny little strips with my squares. Even if I just use them for the popsicle stick and then I have like a little square one for up there, which I will often do, it just makes, I don't know, not having to cut that little skinny strip is nice. So I'm going to pop this one on right away. Just peel off those backing pieces. If you struggle to get these off, you can definitely use your reverse style tweezers to kind of help you grab them. A little pick tool, like, I'm trying to think if I have one handy dandy here. I don't use mine, so it's tucked back in the drawer, hence why I don't use it. But this sort of one here will like pick off those adhesive sheets a little bit better if you struggle with them. This one I think is by EK Success, maybe? Yeah, EK Tools has them. There's multiple ones out there. It's just kind of like a little pick, craft pick per se. We're gonna go here with that one. These little ones I could do. Oh, I think I have. I'm gonna try to make life a little bit faster for me and or you. These should be the same thickness, so I'm just going to use these ones. And then they're going to give me a hard time because I said it's going to be quicker. Hey, you know, if it all went smoothly, I'd wonder what I did wrong today. Or what I forgot. Am I the only one? I don't know. Being extra difficult today. I think I have to bring in. I a lot of times like to make sure that on a piece like this, if I'd have popped one in the middle, it'd probably been fine, right? But when it gets mailed, a lot of times they get crushed and smooshed, and so therefore I like to do kind of all the way across, just to kind of help hold it up through the mail. Also, if you're mailing a card with foam tape on it to kind of pop up images, you can either flip your card inside out. That's how my nanny does it. So your actual card front is on the inside when you mail it. And then, you know, they can flip it the right way out when they get it. Or a lot of times with crafty friends, I will just do like pattern paper and throw the pattern paper, you know, a scrap piece of pattern paper that's an A2 size on the top. And that way, if it goes through the mail well, they can use that for their own card. So there is kind of that one. Let's see if I want to do, I hadn't decided. We could definitely stamp a bigger sentiment on this one, the trick or treat. I was going to pull in, let's see if I can find them. So this one's Doodlebug. So Doodlebug has a couple of different sheets in here that has, like this one that has a lot of little sayings on it where you can cut them apart and use those as kind of like, so little time, so many treats. Give me something good to eat. Just creeping it real creeping looks good on you. Those types of things. They also usually have, here we go, the strip patterns. And so using the trick or treat or the happy Halloween, just cutting those strips down into little strips, which I have here somewhere over the rainbow, or in this case under my pile of stuff. So I have the little trick or treat one, which I could run, I guess I could just run that all the way across the bottom. You just trim off that one. So let's do this one at a 2 size. So let's go 4 1/4 if it'll fit. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Okay. And it's just gonna fit. I try to center it so it has like the same, this one just happened to work out really well. As I get glue everywhere. And because I'm going off of the side of my focal panel, it's gonna stick out a little bit more, right? Because it draws the eye all the way across where it makes that, breaks up that black border. So there is that one. Now for this one, I am going to add some glossy accents because, you know, we like adding, well, or glitter. Should we do glitter on this one or glossy accents? Let's do glitter on this one. I did glossy accents on the other ones that I'll show you. So for this one, I'm just going to come in with a little bit of glitter. I'm going to give him a little bit of glitter on his bow tie, his little shoes, and then of course the candy. You don't have to do the whole piece of candy, just doing kind of around it a little bit will kind of draw that eye in. You can definitely add more if you want. Sometimes less glitter is kind of, I don't know, more in a way because it just kind of draws your eye into a highlight area, or it doesn't, I don't know. Sometimes too much isn't always a good thing. I know when it comes to glitter, I don't know if you can over glitter, but just adding that little bit of glitter touch accents on there is really cute. It leaves the face of each of the candies kind of open and unhindered, but you still get that glittery glossiness from it, I guess. I hope that makes sense. That's kind of a fun way to do that. And I will bring in a card base here. Let me set that one off to the side. I'm done with that one. And where is my stamp platform that I just had? Under the pile of stuff that you moved around. Okay. So for this one, I used, let's see, we used that little critter. I think we're just gonna go. Now, good thing the cover was on. Okay, now you could definitely use kind of like the strip things in here. This would be really cute to just cut a strip down and throw it on the inside. It makes for a quick and easy inside accent. You could definitely add the little characters that we colored and put on the front. I am going to come in, I'm going to go Happy Halloween. And I want to add just the little candies in there. Make sure the little, this one kind of reminds me of Jack Skeleton. I don't know why, it just does. Oh, I think the bat needs to be up there. Bat candy. And then we'll go with this one down and over here. So I have my images on there. Now, I would probably stamp those critters in, I moved my piece of paper, I just wanted to make sure, in purple and, whoops, and that tealy color. I'm not sure which one is going to be the better. I think Lagoon, but it's going to be really dark. So let's go with Breeze, and I can always adjust my stamp colors here. So I just take my full ink pad and kind of hit my stamped, my one image, and then I'll take the other color one, oops, and hit the other image here. Just kind of selectively inking those images. Now I'm not worried about my middle image because I'm going to do that one in black. And you could definitely just take it off and add it later on if you wanted to. But here's the thing with the black it's gonna cover up, right? So it's not like a big deal. I just wanted to make sure that I'm not gonna have things that are going over this side. It wiggled a little bit on me, so here's hoping we don't get a shadow stamp. So I'm just going to come in with this one, and I just selectively stamped that middle one. I would definitely just remove these, but I have 2 more insides to do. So therefore, this is how I do it for multiples. Sometimes I'll do 1 at a time, you know, and then just switch them out, do all 3 insides, and then switch it out to the next one, switch it out to the next one, that sort of thing. And yes, I didn't condition my stamp again, and it's a new one. Can you tell? I can tell. Maybe if I hold it a little bit longer this time, get a better impression. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. It's like the ink is actually sticking to the stamp and not the paper. Whatever. Okay. I fooled. Okay. All right. Oh, well, I got a little bit on that one. No big deal. But that's kind of how I would do my inside on this one. Just a cute little happy Halloween. And then we will fold this one down. I would say use your Teflon bone folder if you have it. I have 5 of them and I can't ever find one of them. Go figure, because they're back in the place where they're supposed to be. Oh, well, I did it this way. Are all of them supposed to be up and down? Yes. Oh, Lord. Okay, well, this will have to be for another one. That's what my inside's going to look like, but going the other direction. Okay, well, you know, so that's where we're at today. Okay. Here is my first one with that little pumpkin boy. He's just kind of cute. I did do glossy accents on my pieces of candy, kind of making the wrappers nice and shiny and glossy. And then because I had a little bit of room on my piece of paper, I did stamp him and color him in as well. And of course, added some more glossy accents to those side pieces. So you definitely have some options there. You could have turned this one this way and then just put, you know, maybe not the sucker, but you could have definitely done the other ones kind of across the bottom. I just had to do a different shaped image there. But ultimately, I like how these turned out, even if my inside, I stamped it wrong. But you get to see what the inside will look like. I will post a picture on the final video of what the inside ends up looking like, because, you know, Hot Mess Express is here and strong today. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we will see you next time. Bye!